Let's make the Squidward gross close-up from SpongeBob episode 43A.
You sure?
Does this look unsure to you?
I'm blocking out all the large shapes in Cinema because I still don't understand how people do it in ZBrush, honestly. ZBrush is amazing for sculpting and really fine detail and many other things, but working with the Z Modeler tool is just a pain in the ass. So in these cases, I just do it quickly in Cinema and send it all to ZBrush with the GoZ plugin. Since both ZBrush and Cinema are owned by Maxon, I have a feeling this workflow works better than any other programs like Blender or whatever, but I might be wrong. And to anyone wondering if now that Maxon owns ZBrush, we're going to see improvements to the Cinema sculpting tools, my humble opinion is hell to the motherfucking no. Maxon owning ZBrush is actually a reason for them not to invest in Cinema sculpting tools, for the simple reason that they want you to use ZBrush for that. Their incentive is to make you use both programs rather than only using one, so there's no reason for them to improve Cinema's sculpting tools, and honestly, I'm not mad about it. There are certain things I wish Cinema would improve, like adding a polygon relax brush, or man, do I want to have a serious detail projection tool in Cinema, but honestly, I would much prefer them investing in other improvements and just let ZBrush do the sculpting. That's what it's supposed to do, it's amazing for it. Okay, then I blocked out the major features and started going down the detail line. Not that there are any crazy details on this model, so it was more like getting the proportions and the subtle cartoony moves right, like his eyebrows kind of frowning or the way the mouth is all wrinkly and shriveled. I feel like that's one of the hardest things for me yet. That seems like it shouldn't be that difficult. Sculpting these fleshy, inflated folds in a way that makes the surface feel really folded in and inflated out, but without having those polygons on the inside of the folds overlap with each other. I don't know if I'm explaining myself right. I think the way to approach it would probably be a creative combination of masking and deformation, but haven't really had the guts to tackle it yet. The tricky thing with converting this illustration into a 3D object is that an illustration is very free form and isn't bound to physical and, perspective constraints like a 3D model is. So for example, in the illustration, the way the eyes and the nose overlap is just a simple stacked layering from back to front. But in 3D, those polygons would just intersect with each other. And it's not really a big deal, but I know I'm going to use heavy subsurface scattering on this model, and from my experience, SSS and intersecting polygons can produce really annoying artifacts wherever it's intersecting. So I just tried to squeeze the shapes into each other rather than having them intersect each other wherever I could, just to save myself texturing headaches later on. If you like this content and want to support the channel, feel free to check out my Patreon or membership, where you can find these project files, free products from the store, as well as other cool perks, but mostly help me make more and better content for y'all. Also, I made a poster out of this design as well as previous designs from these videos that you can buy on my Pink Eye Gumroad. More on that at the end. And I totally understand that not everyone can support that way, but even subscribing and liking the video helps the channel, or giving me a follow on Instagram at Ojang or the channel at Brand New Plastic. If you work in 3D, you could also check out my New Plastic Gumroad store, where you can find this model for sale along with some cool materials and model packs. Anyway, I really appreciate you. Okay, so I didn't really think I would add all this really fine detail, but as I was working on it, I realized the whole point of the original illustration is this extreme and grotesque level of details compared to the regular, clean drawing styles of the show. So I looked at some octopus skin photos and added as much detail as I could, which ended up looking really nice in the render. If you were the kind of kid who loved the gross close-ups in SpongeBob, then you should watch Ren and Stimpy. By the time SpongeBob first aired, I was already in my very early teens, so I never really got to watch it. But what I did watch a lot when I was a kid and loved it was Ren and Stimpy, which had the original gross close-ups, and I don't care what anyone else says, they started this whole style. I think generally the 90s was a breeding ground to a lot of messed up cartoons that honestly, I don't even know how they were aimed for kids. Ren and Stimpy was so gross and violent and demented and psychedelic, and I remember as a kid, I just fucking loved how they did all those gross close-ups. They were so gross, like much more than the SpongeBob ones. The amount of detail and this sudden break of style was so disgusting and exciting. I know most of you are somewhere between 25 and 35, so you probably know about Ren and Stimpy, but if you don't, I strongly suggest you educate yourself on the pioneers of depraved cartoons that walked so that pretty much all of Adult Swim could run. In Substance Painter, I just layered a bunch of different noises and dirt/curvature masks to get something that feels kinda dirty, and added some subtle Voronoi patterns to match it with real octopus skin. Obviously I wasn't going for anything realistic, but I just wanted to get a bunch of subtle details to match the grotesqueness of the illustration. Then I just copied all the layers and pasted them to the other models, and they matched pretty instantly since all the models' maps were baked, and I just adjusted the colors and some details for each model. And in Cinema, it was really simple, just added all the maps, used the substance scattering channels for the colors, ended up adding another layer of noise to the bump channels just to roughen it up a bit, since I decided, even though octopuses are extremely shiny and slimy, I wanted a rougher look for him since, I don't know, it's Squidward and he looks like shit. He's all worn out. And after playing around with the lighting and quickly drawing and adding that famous background image, this is the final render. I think it came out cool. You know, you would think something as simple as a Squidward shape would be the easiest thing, but nothing is easy. Definitely want to practice more of these kind of more minimal style sculpts, and definitely want to do more of the gross close-ups. Maybe next time I'll do one from Ren and Stimpy, I don't know. This project file will be available to my patrons, but you can also get it from my Gumroad store, and you can also get this, as well as other pieces from my other videos, as a poster on my other Gumroad store. Links in the description. Consider supporting on Patreon, and a mighty aye to all my nautical friends you see on the screen right now. I love you, have a great day. Peace.